Hello, everyone. Welcome to Coffee Tea, You and Me. I hope you guys can hear me as you begin to sign on. I've got a couple of technical issues we're going to work out as the broadcast continues. It looks like I got a pretty weak signal, so I'm going to try to see if I can't make that stronger. For some reason, if it gets to be a problem, then I'll switch to another internet connection. I see my girl Annette is logging on. Good to see you, Annette. Listen, whoever you are, wherever you are, don't forget to put your name in the chat, whether you're watching us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Google or YouTube. Put your name in the chat. Tell us where you're coming from. Tell us how you met us. If there's any questions you have about anything that we're going to be talking about, either now or sometime in the future, feel free to put that question in the chat. We look forward to being responsive to all small business leaders and all small business concerns as much as we possibly can. And so if you have a question, if you have a thought or idea, we want to have as much engagement with you as possible. And the chat box is how we do it. Don't feel afraid to ask any question. Use as much time or energy you can put into the question. If I can't get to the question on the show, I'll probably get to the question afterwards. But even if I can't get to the question on the show, some other one of our guests or members might be able to answer your question for you. I can't stand a question that doesn't get answers, right? So I'm all about making sure that people get answers to all of the information and get all the access to information they possibly can. So whatever you need to know to move yourself, your business forward, don't feel like, it's out of pocket to ask the question, ask the question. Also, if you got information you want to post, things you want to share with other people, feel free to go ahead and post that information in the chat. You never know when I might do something exactly like that. I might pick your link up and share it amongst the audience so that everybody can see it. And this will always be broadcast on every channel that we broadcast to, and will always be available to people to come back to later on. So this is an ongoing dialogue, an ongoing conversation. As long as the internet is up, I guess we'll continue these opportunities. And so you can go back and watch shows that we've done since the beginning of COVID. So that's more than 100 shows ago every Friday. I think we maybe have missed 1 or 2 Fridays. And even if we miss a Friday, you know what we do? We rebroadcast something that we've already done, some of our most popular shows, just to give you a chance to reconnect with that useful information. So if you like what we're talking about, wherever you are looking at it, give me a thumbs up, give me a attaboy, give me Yahoos, whatever you got going on your computer. If you're on YouTube, you want to definitely follow us. You want to definitely go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on LinkedIn, and wherever you're watching from. I want your total engagement, because I'm going to ask you some questions, and I really want to see you coming through. You are lucky because today we're starting out a brand new series, and it's a brand new series, but it's a topic that I've been talking about for a long time, well over 15 years. I created a program called TrueVOICE. Now, the whole reason why I created the program at TrueVOICE is because, for many of you who know me, I'm an introvert. And so I really, really like my ideas. I really like being by myself, really thinking through things. I like to read, I like to write, I like to create. I like to do things that are going to be conducive to creating tools and opportunities for other people to move themselves and their businesses forward. I enjoy it. I do it in my sleep. And so I had created a program called the 9 Steps to Mastery. And these are 9 steps that help people move their professional relationships forward. From, you may have a beginning relationship with someone, and there's a lot of trust there, but not enough to create investment, not enough to create a lot of energy or some action in terms of people jumping on board, be a part of your vision and getting into your team and all that kind of stuff. So I needed to create a tool or a strategy, some techniques that will allow professionals to work with other professionals, to invite them, participate with them on their advisory councils, on their boards of directors, to maybe even be financiers for them, or give opportunities to support them in other ways and help them build connections. And I needed to drive those kinds of relationships forward, because most people who have a product or service to sell are exceptionally good at selling their product or service. What they may not be so good at is building the relationships required to take their opportunities to the next level. And that's kind of what I specialize in, is helping entrepreneurs and business leaders learn how to make the connections, learn how to build the relationships they need to build to move themselves forward. I have an exciting special guest for you guys today. My friend and fellow board member for the Fairfax County Small Business Commission, Mrs. Gwen Whitaker, is going to be with us today. And she's going to be sharing a little information about herself and her business. And then we're going to put Gwen backstage so she can hear the rest of the program and then jump in later on in the discussion part. So Gwen, I'm going to give you guys a brief introduction to Gwen a little bit later, so she'll know what's going on. She's backstage right now. She's watching. Gwen, if you can hear me backstage, put your hands up. Outstanding. She's live, so she's on camera. She's good. You got a great camera angle, Gwen, so I can see you back there. And we'll bring you out on stage in just a few minutes. We're just introducing the program for today. So as I was saying, I created the Vision Quest process, and I created the Vision Quest 90 process, and I created TrueVOICE many years ago in order to help people begin the process of establishing high quality professional relationships. Because I realized that some of you have opportunities to really, really have connections with people, either from a past life or something you've done before, or there's people that you have right now that you have a connection to, but it's a superficial connection. And you may need to dig deep and really, really create that connection. So for the next weeks, we're going to be talking about all the techniques and the processes that we discovered, and we create the tools that you need to use in order to move yourself and your business forward in terms of creating high-powered connections with others. And so TrueVOICE is that strategy. TrueVOICE is that methodology. Today, we're just going to introduce TrueVOICE. We're not going to go deep into the first levels, the second levels, third levels. We're just going to introduce TrueVOICE and the reasons why TrueVOICE are special. And that's going to be our topic of discussion today. But before we get to our topic of discussion, we're going to introduce my good friend Gwen Whitaker. She serves on Fairfax County Small Business Commission along with me, and we do a lot of work to help small businesses get ahead. Gwen is the CEO and the founder of Green Fair Organic Cafe. Now, I wish I could say that I knew Gwen first from being the CEO and founder of Green Fair Organic Cafe. No, I didn't. I met Gwen because she was one of the producers of one of the best movies I have ever had a chance to see. And I swear this movie changed my life, changed my diet, changed my thoughts on what I thought about vegan, the whole vegan movement, what it meant to get good organic vegetables in your life, and how, special athletes and different people all over the world had embraced this vegan kind of principles and ideas and diet, and how it's changed their lives and helped them even perform better athletically. So all of the myths that, we have heard that, if you don't get XYZ amount of protein from animal fat, right? If you don't get to eat meat, then your body's going to deteriorate. You're not going to be able to perform athletically. It's all of that is debunked in Gwen's documentary, and it's just a great film. If you get a chance to check it out, I think it's on Netflix still. If you get a chance to check it out, you should. But she's a big, obviously in the vegan movement, and she's doing so much to actively do it, not just talk about it. But she's got a restaurant, a cafe, and she's putting good food together for people so people can be healthy and live well and enjoy their lives at the same time. So it's a great time it's a great time to introduce my good friend, my business partner in the Small Business Commission, a fellow commissioner, and just a true pure heart, somebody I love dearly, Mrs. Gwen Whitaker. Gwen, how are you today?
Hey, Martin, how are you?
Fantastic.
Yeah. So thank you for the introduction. So yeah, The Game Changers it's actually the most widely viewed documentary in the world right now. I'm one of the executive producers, as well as Lewis Hamilton, the race car driver, and Jackie Chan, who got it into the Chinese market. And if people are interested, they can watch it on Amazon and Netflix. And
Fantastic. That's
very
Game Changers. Remember that name, Game Changers. While Gwen's introducing herself and telling us a little bit more about herself, I'll dig it up and I'll provide a link for you guys, so you guys don't have any excuse why you can't get to Game Changers. Okay. So Gwen, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got involved with the vegan movement, what you're doing with your organization. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks, Marvin. So let's see. I think most people were not born vegan or plant-based. It's a journey, and so as you get more education, you make changes. For me, it was because I loved animals, and I started taking things out when I was in my teens and my 20s. I took beef out in my teens and poultry out my 20s. And every time I'd read a book or watch a film, it would affect me in a different way. And so, kind of the freeing thing, I think, of Game Changers, and the film that probably got me started really was called Forks Over Knives. It's Eat with a Fork and Avoid a Scalpel. And that film basically disavows you of the notion that you need to eat animal products to have a healthy lifestyle. And in fact, when you take those things out, a lot of really positive things happen. Usually, people's cholesterol drops, the blood pressure normalizes, weight loss, a lot of autoimmune diseases reverse. And so I got involved, I think, about 8 or 9 years ago when I reached out to Colin Campbell and basically offered to do. It was called a Jumpstart program that we did in Reston with 45 people, and I had 45 people change their diet for just 10 days. We provided food and actually did blood testing before and after with a nurse. And across the board, people had an average of 20% cholesterol drop and normalized blood pressure, weight loss. And I started getting letters from people saying that this 10-day thing changed their life. And so even though my background was in the technology space, I think Marvin may have alluded to the fact I had a company in the national security space for 10 years. And that kind of gave me the freedom to pursue my newer interests. And so health, environment, and animal welfare were kind of the three things. And probably the cool thing about this plant-based diet is that it affects all three of those things, as well as athletic performance. If you watch the Game Changers, it's a pretty fun film. And so Green Fair was opened in 2015. We started doing something called the 21-Day Kickstart, and we give classes, and we give 2 meals a day for 21 days. And we just watch really dramatic health improvements happen during that time. You can come into Green Fair just for a meal. We have a lot of people that come in and enjoy dinner. We have pizzas on the weekend. We have a meal plan. So if you are too busy to shop or cook and want a variety of organic, plant-based meals without added salt, oil, and sugar, then you can come to Green Fair, and we are definitely the healthiest, probably one of the healthiest restaurants in the country, from a food standpoint. The more that you learn about food, the more important it is to have local and sustainable. So probably 80% of the produce that we get is from Lancaster farms that are within 150 miles. And all of the food that's produced there is organically produced. So what that means is they're not using herbicides and pesticides. There's no synthetic fertilizers. So all of the petrochemical products that you get when you're buying conventionally grown products are not found in these foods. So I think there's something like 300 chemicals that you're not getting in your food when you buy USDA organic. So that's what we do. And let's see, we've sponsored the Fairfax Veg Fest. We just held that about 30 days ago. It's an all-day event. We'll probably be doing that again next year, where we bring speakers in. I do a newsletter. Marvin may be doing the same thing, but I do a newsletter usually every week that talks about different events that we're hosting. So we'll do fun things out at, there's a farm sanctuary we go to once a quarter. We go out to JK Community Farms. I was out planting seedlings in the field at JK Organic Farms last weekend with a crew from Green Fair. So if you are interested in joining a lot of the activities that we do, you can sign up for my newsletter at greenfair.com. It's green, F-A-R-E. And it's not only people that are focused in health, but it's trying to create like a community of support. We're sort of the missionaries in the space right now of healthy lifestyle. And so, as people come and learn more, then they get very passionate about sharing the word. So Marvin, that's thanks for the opportunity to share that with your folks, and you know, one of these days I'll have to have you out. Tracy's come out to visit me at Green Fair, but we're having a pizza party tonight. So we actually make a cashew based cheese on a corn and wheat crust, and the pizzas are pretty awesome.
So you're in luck because this week is my birthday. So
Ah,
my birthday's actually tomorrow, and my family's been looking for some place to take me for my birthday, and I think we figured it out just now.
okay.
You know, what time do you close tomorrow?
We're open until 7 tomorrow evening.
Okay, how about tomorrow? How about tonight? What time do you close tonight?
We're closed at 7 tonight as well. Yeah.
All right, I might sneak my wife over there before you close tonight. We might just hang out because I've been meaning to introduce her to the concept. Anyway, you're not going to be there tonight, though, are you?
I'm as soon as we finish this, I'm going to head over and help. Usually Friday night is a busy night, so if you come over, I'll see you there.
We're gonna have a short show today, guys, because I'm going to eat. All right, it's good to see you. Good to see you. So I'm gonna have you hang out backstage for just a minute as I introduce the rest of the show, and then I'm gonna bring you back a little bit later just to participate in the discussion. So pay attention, and take out your pencils and notes. Anything you want to ask, anything you want to jump in. And by the way, I can see you backstage. So if there's something that you want to have to say or jump in or whatever, you just do this and I'll see you and I'll bring you right back on the stage. So feel free to interrupt me along the way. Make sense?
Sounds good, Marvin.
Fantastic. Okay, my girl Jasmine's here. Oh my God, this is so great to see so many wonderful people on in the show. Thank you very much for coming through today, Jasmine. Looking forward to talking to you more. This program, like I said earlier, is a labor of love for me. I started Coffee Tea You and Me many years ago, and I used to sit down at Panera Bread, literally. And every Friday from 3 to 5 and talk to entrepreneurs. And sometimes I'd have 30, 40 people in the room, and sometimes it'd only be 3 or 4. But I'd always be prepared with some ideas or some books that I was reading or something I wanted to talk about that would really help bless other people in the small business community, because it's a passion of mine to make sure that small businesses are taken care of. They know everything they need to know to be successful. And it's hard out here. Most of the time, entrepreneurs and business leaders are very, very lonely, and they need connections and they need opportunities to grow, and people bring those opportunities. So the better you are at connecting with people, the better you are at that. So that's why I created TrueVOICE. TrueVOICE is a program that works on helping you deepen the connections. And the magic of TrueVOICE works like this. If you think about it, the 16 questions that we ask entrepreneurs and business leaders to deal with when it comes to TrueVOICE, these questions represent everything that is needed for one to share with someone else in order to build a maximum amount of trust. Now, this all started for me years ago when I first read the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and I fell in love with Stephen Covey. And so every time I went to a new company, I would insist that they send me to Covey training to become the coach of coaches inside the organization, to learn more. And I ended up going out to the ranch out in Utah and being certified to teach Covey's strategies and Covey's principles based on the 7 habits and all the different things that's all about. And one of the key ideas that was brought out in the 7 habits is this idea and this indication of what trust is built from. And later on, Stephen M. R. Covey, his son, wrote a book called The Speed of Trust, where he really expounded upon his dad's ideas and thoughts about what trust meant and how trust can be manufactured, how trust can be leveraged, how trust can be created. And so when I created the TrueVOICE process, I thought to myself, how can we help people engineer fantastic amounts of trust quickly? There's been a thought process in sort of the networking atmosphere that trust takes time to build. And I believe it's a myth, because trust is something that you actually give to another person. But there has to be some reason why you feel comfortable giving another person the trust. Dr. Covey would say that trust is built out of two areas. It's competency and character. Competence and character. If you have competence, then people will trust you especially if it's something that revolves around your expertise or your opinion, your ideas, based on the knowledge that you've achieved, the experience that you have, the real expertise, right? You've got the competence. But now if you have the competence, but you have a horrible character, people could accuse some of the famous names out there for being extremely competent about what they do, but not necessarily having the best character. I think of names like Harvey Weinstein, probably great at doing all the things he did in Hollywood, right? And he was a name, he was a person, he was significant, he was relevant, he made stars. He really did. But the levels of abuse, the levels of exploitation that he would go to in order to do that shit, he didn't really have the character. And so ultimately it was proven that he wasn't trustworthy. So the real question walking around when you're networking with people, when you're meeting new people, is how do you get to trust? How do you get to trust fast? How do you allow yourself to give someone the trust that you need to give them in order for them to reciprocate and give that trust back to you, right? In order for you to have something that you can leverage, in order you build the quality and the character of the relationship in a way that you can leverage it. A lot of people want mentors, but they can't find people to be their mentor. A lot of people want people on their advisory council, or they want people to invest in them. They want investors, or they want referral sources, or they want people who can be supporters and help make introductions for them. They want people who could promote them. And we all need those things in our businesses, but in order to get there, we have to be able to create and leverage, and then allow trust to be leveraged in order for those things to happen. I hope that makes sense for you all. And so I thought about it. What are the mechanics of trust? What are the things that I personally need to know about someone else in order to trust them? And then I came up with this TrueVOICE concept. Now, VOICE is an acronym. The acronym stands VOICE, VOICE, is an acronym. It stands for vision, obstacles, intuition or instinct, commitments, and environment. And there's 16 questions in those 5 categories that we ask people in an interview process in order to understand who they are, what they're all about, where they're coming from, what they're trying to say to the universe, what their authentic self is. And it requires a lot of vulnerability on the person that you're interviewing for the TrueVOICE process. And I recognize that, but I've done well over 1,500 interviews personally. And I've coached others to do thousands more. And so the process has been tested and tried. And we understood that people don't go into the TrueVOICE interview process without really understanding a reason for it. And they're not really understanding the reason why. And so we had to figure out how to help people have an introduction to the TrueVOICE and how it all works and so on and so forth. So it ends up that TrueVOICE was a great interview platform. But I discovered some things along the way that was even more exciting about TrueVOICE, because I created it in order to have introverts like me have the tools needed to get into high quality relationships and to focus on a systemic process, because that's what introverts are really good at. You give me the rules and regulations and procedures and standards, and I can go, okay, this is what I need to do, then I can execute, right? But if you give me these, emotionally high thought processes, and I'm not necessarily plugged into all of the values, and I might fall on my face. But if you give me something I can do and practice and rehearse, and so that's what TrueVOICE is. It's a system that you can rehearse to get you where you want to go. Here's the special thing I discovered about it. Here's what I'll talk to you about it today. I discovered these 16 questions. If you learn to ask them for yourself, basically, if you learn to interview yourself, if you conduct your own TrueVOICE profile, and you create answers to those questions, you have every opportunity, everything you can do, everything you need to do to articulate meaningfully anything that you want to communicate effectively and well. And so let me give you the 6 benefits of TrueVOICE, and then I'm going to break down how those benefits arrive, a little bit about why those benefits are important. And then we're going to kick it around a little, to have a little bit of a discussion. So there's 5 benefits of TrueVOICE, 5 main benefits. There's so many more than these 5, but these are the 5 main benefits. The first benefit of TrueVOICE is the system helps you to identify articulate, and then correctly choose a proper path forward in anything you want to do. And so if you envision being the best father that you want to be, if you envision being the best wife, or the best business leader, or the best consultant, or the best at whatever it is that you think your role is, or title is, or several, you want to be one of the best that's ever been, then the True Voice process helps you begin to articulate how and why and what, and helps you begin to really create the vision for your destination, right? It helps you create that opportunity to understand this is what it's going to look like when I arrive at the finish line, whatever that finish line is. Now, the truth, I want you to know this is not about goals, right? This is more about vision than anything else. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But think about it. If you could carefully articulate everything you need to articulate in a way that others could then receive it and then run with it, and then help you run with it, and really, really be excited about what you're doing and where you're going and why you're doing the things that you're doing, wouldn't that be magical? That's the first benefit of True Voice. It helps you start to articulate those things, and it helps you help others start to articulate those things. Number two, it creates a higher, more compelling understanding of your purpose and your calling. So I totally believe that all of us have an internal purpose. We have a reason for being here that might be higher, that is higher than ourselves. And it absolutely is our responsibility to take some responsibility for each other. In some way, shape, or form, there's some gift, some talent, something that we are here to share. And as we nurture that gift and that talent, it becomes readily evident to us exactly what's that teaching us, and where that's taking us, and where we should be going with it. But if you go through the True Voice process, if you really understand it, you'll start to discover for yourself the more compelling reasons to understand your purpose and maybe your calling in life, in business, in whatever things you want to do. Number three, it shows you how to stay on task and how to show up authentically. A lot of times we are bumping into life. We're just wandering around aimlessly from this thing to that thing to this thing to that thing. And sometimes we just need to stand and deliver. We just need to show up in the most authentic way in the spaces that we are in, so that people can recognize who we are, what we are in that space, in that direction, in that movement, so that they can begin to understand how to play with us. They can begin to understand, okay, what can they bring to the table that's going to enhance what we're already doing, or help us move faster in where we're already going, or participate in some way, not deviate us from the past, but help us stay on task. You know, I made the mistake recently of telling one of my clients, you know, one of the things that, you know, I'd been struggling with, that I knew what to do, but I just didn't have the motivation to get it done. And this client turned around and used the same accountability tricks that I had been using with her to move me forward. And it worked dramatically, because she recognized I needed accountability in some of the things that I wanted to do. And she helped me do that because my voice came out, and she heard me say, this is where I want to be. This is where I want to go. These are the things I'm trying to get to. I know what to do. I just haven't done it. And so in clear fashion, you know, she said to me, okay, so what's going to be the cost if you never get around to this? And then I articulated that, and she says, okay, so now how long is it going to take for you to start movement on this? What's the first small step you can take in this direction? And I immediately smiled, because I knew exactly what she was doing. She's doing the same thing I do to her in all our coaching moments. It's like, okay, you know, take the small step. Okay, let's take the small step together. Let's do that. And then, you know, next thing you know, we're moving in the right direction. And it works tremendously, because when you get a chance to articulate your vision, you get a chance to articulate where you're going, then people around you who care about you are naturally going to go, okay, how can we help? What's next? What do you need to do? How can it help you think through it? How can it help you invest in it? How can it help you, you know, do more with it? Where can we go? Because they want to be on that journey with you. Everybody wants to do something meaningful, specific, and relevant in life and business and everything else. And we want to participate. We want to engage. But we want to do it in a way that helps us feel good about what we're doing. And so we don't know it until we start to begin to have that conversation. So True Voice is a good way to enter that conversation. How do you stay on task? How do you show up authentically? Number four, Not only does True Voice help you stay on task and show up authentically, it helps you start to develop some language that speaks to your destiny and what fulfillment is going to look like for you. It's important to know what your goals are and what you want to do, but it's more important to know why you have them in the first place. It's more important to know what it's going to look like when you get to the finish line, so that you can begin to articulate all the steps and you can begin to see the things that you have to do to get to the finish line. You could pretty much backwards plan your way into anything you could imagine. So if you have a question about that, go ahead and put it in the chat. But it's important that, if you can imagine it, if you can put it in your brain, if you can kick it around, you can articulate it, you can put it out there in the universe for other people to pick it up, that frequency and the energy that you will drive as a result of it will create more frequency and more energy with other people, and then they'll start to vibrate with you, and then things will start to happen in ways that you could just never imagine. It'll take on a life of its own. I'm sure Gwen can bear testimony to that fact. There's probably been things that she's got to been like thinking about in her brain, and she made a mistake and opened her mouth about it, and next thing you know, somebody else heard it and they're picking up and they're doing something with it, and then next thing you know, it's something a lot more than she could have maybe ever articulated or dreamed of in the past. And the fifth thing that True Voice does in a single conversation, it also, not only does it help you speak to your destiny and fulfillment, it helps you connect to those around you that can and will assist and support you. Here's the thing. Like I told you earlier, all of us want to do things that are meaningful, relevant, and significant. But we don't know when something is meaningful, relevant, and significant until something happens. There's an event, there's somebody said something, somebody does something, somebody shows us something that lets us know, this thing that I have, this investment that I have, this talent that I have, this time that I have, the time, talent, and treasure that I have, I could use and deploy to be more meaningful and more relevant and special, significant to this person right now. The biggest example I give, and I give this all the time because I think it points the picture at a part of our human nature that is very, very important for us to recognize and always recognize. I know if you've been out there yourself, you've been at a gas station at some point in time in your life, and maybe you've been pumping gas, right? Somebody might have asked you during that time for directions. They may have asked you, what's it like to go here or do this or that? And they may have asked you, what is it going to take for them? They have an issue, and they're very important, and they got to get directions to wherever they have to go. And you might be there pumping gas thinking, well, you're thinking one or two thoughts. The first thought might be, oh my God, why are they asking me? I wish I could help them. But I don't know I don't know where they're going. How dare they ask me? What are they thinking about? What are they thinking? This is a problem for me now. I don't know how to get them where they want to go. You get to ask anybody else, why me? Why are they picking on me? And you feel bad, right? You don't feel great when somebody asks you a question or asks you to engage in a way that you can't help them. But now, there may be moments where somebody will ask you for some help or ask you for some directions or ask you for something, and you know exactly how to get them there. Whenever that happens for me, I don't know about you, but whenever that happens for me, I get super excited. I'm like, oh my God, this is something that's right up my alley. I know how to do this. And I promise you, no matter what it is, if it's something that's easy for me and somebody asks me about it, I have no problem helping them in that situation. I don't even think about charging them. I don't even think about what's going to cost me. I don't think about any of that. What I'm thinking about is I get a chance to show up and be meaningful, relevant, and significant. I'm getting my MRS degree in that same moment where I'm helping another person. And I got to think that a lot of us are similarly organized in our minds, our thoughts, our process, our hearts. We want to do some stuff that's meaningful, relevant, and significant, but we don't know oftentimes until somebody asks us or somebody reminds us that we're already gifted in this way, or somebody tells us, you know what, I need blah, 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 blah. And I happen to know that you are super good at this, or somebody who's super good at this. Could you help me? 9 times out of 10, the answer is yes. Or even if it's no, it's probably no now because I'm busy doing some other things, but I'd love to help you when I'm finished with this. Could you wait? Kind of thing. And that always is a useful aspect of whatever's going on. So this is what True Voice does. I'm gonna share the benefits for you one more time, but I want you to think about it. Do you need this in your life? Do you need to be able to articulate and correctly choose the proper path forward? Do you need to have a more compelling understanding and purpose for what it is that you're doing and be able to use that purpose in a way that's going to empower yourself and others? Do you need to show yourself and others how to stay on task and how to show up authentically? Do you need to have your sense of destiny and fulfillment so wired in that it's compelling and it draws you in and it draws other people in to your mission, to your vision, to your goals, to your tasks, to the things that you're trying to be, the person that you're trying to grow into? And finally, do you need to build connections? If the answer to any one of those questions is yes, and they should be yes to almost all of them, quite frankly. If the answer to any one of those questions is yes, then you should be paying attention to what we're going to be talking about in the True Voice analysis, and as we let True Voice unfold over the next 4 to 5 weeks, as we go into the vision and we go into the obstacles and we go into your instinctual connections and we go into the commitments that you have to make and we go into the environment that you have to be careful and watch out for. To our audience, those of you who are engaged and paying attention, and I want to ask you some questions. What would you think about a process that you could use to grow your organization? And I know a lot of us are solopreneurs, and you don't think of yourself as an organization, but you should, because you belong to a community somehow, some way. There are stakeholders in your success. There are people who want to see you do well, and people have a vested interest, whether that interest is emotional and social, or that interest is financial or physical, that they have a vested interest in your success. Do you need tools like this to help you grow? Just put yes or no in the chat. That'll let me know that you're out there and you're paying attention. And if you do, make sure that you do it. It's very, very, very important. And thank you so much. My girl Jasmine has a thought she wanted to share with us. She said, "You've been a blessing, leaving a path behind to help us avoid pitfalls. Stories connect us." You're so right about that, Jasmine. And it's very, very true. When you can help people literally avoid some of the problems, then they feel more comfortable taking the risk that they have to take, because their confidence, it has grown. The confidence is up. And that's what my coaching practice is all about, is really helping people develop the confidence they need and the competence they need to move themselves forward. So everybody needs skills, everybody needs talents, everybody needs to grow in certain areas to move themselves in a certain area. I'm sorry, I was reading the chat as I was talking. I'm not a multitasker, so I can't do 3 things at the same time, but I'm looking at all of the chats and stuff that's going on. And I'd like to have Gwen, if you can come on back in the room, and that'd be great. Well, I think she's taking a little bit of a break, but if you could come back in the room, Gwen, that'd be great to have you back on. If not, then we're gonna keep the party going. I love this. Another comment from Jasmine. Jasmine says that trust given in response to C and C, which is competency and character, right? So trust, and there's a formula there, because trust equals competence and character. You got to have them both when you want to leverage trust, right? When you want to create trust, when you want to leverage trust, you have to be sure that you have both competence and character. And you don't know until you've had that conversation. with other people until you've had enough deep, meaningful conversation. And that's pretty much what True Voice is a way to get into some deep conversation. It's not small talk. I always tell people, if you look at the questions in True Voice is big talk. It's how you get involved with people in a big way, in a meaningful way, so that you can grow your relationship based on real stuff, real meaningful content in areas of interest versus the superficial stuff. It's easy to talk about the superficial stuff, but talking about the meaningful stuff, it makes us all vulnerable. But here's the key, and I'll get into this a little bit more in the further weeks. The more vulnerable we are with each other, the more we share with each other, the more we trust. Have you found that to be true? That, I know people have done this before. You've had some of the best conversations on a trip somewhere with a perfect stranger. Maybe somebody sat next to you on an airplane, a long air flight or a train ride or a bus ride or whatever that is. And, they struck up a conversation and you struck up a conversation and you had probably one of the best talks you ever had in your life. And you never even exchanged a person's name, or if you did, you long forgot it, kind of thing. But that doesn't matter because you remember the character of the conversation. You remember what it took to get there and to do that. By the way, if you have a business that you want to give a shout out to, you want us to shout your business out, put your website or anything in anything you have a question about or anything you want to share with the audience, put that in the chat and we'll discuss it. If you have a question about anything we talked about so far, definitely ask the question. If you have a question about a future show that you want me to do, I'm great at doing explorations on a topic or a conversation or something that you're interested in. So, go ahead and put that in the chat as well. I might not get to you today, but I'll definitely get back to you. Also, another comment from Jasmine. Here we go. This is great. Growth requires getting to the heart of the matter. Amen. You totally understand where I'm coming from when it comes to that, because it means so much. If you can't dance around the truth. The truth is what it is. And my mother used to always say, the truth is the only thing you can do with the truth is accept it. Because it don't change. It just is what it is. And it's important for people to begin to understand the truth about themselves and then to be comfortable exposing the truth about themselves to other people. Your greatest gifts should not be a secret. It shouldn't be something that you're uncomfortable with talking about. Even though, I know we've all been taught to be humble. We've all been taught, to be meek and to, not tout ourselves too hard or too strong. But I got to ask you a question. How will the right people ever notice you if you don't share the best that you have at the right times with the right people? Now, I'm not saying give it up for everybody. I'm not saying, have everybody in your business and try to get intimate and close to everyone. You can't do it. Even if you're an extrovert, you don't have the bandwidth to carry out deep, meaningful relationships with thousands of people. But you do have the bandwidth to have maybe 5 to 10 close associates, partners, friends that are able to help you take this thing of yours, whatever it is, to the next level. Whether you're in a corporation and you're performing a function for an organization, or you're on your entrepreneurial journey and you're working for yourself, or you're even a leader, a team leader, you need support outside of the members of the team. You need support in your leadership. You need support in your leadership development. That people are going to pour into you their ideas and their thoughts and their feedback on what you're doing. If you don't have the right people around you, then you're probably going to feel at risk and unsafe. But when you have the right people around you, and you have the right people around you, then you've got what we call backup. And it's nothing like backup, because you pretty much, when you have backup, you can do whatever you want to do. Within boundaries, right? Which will be established by the culture of the backup, right? So you'll understand what they're willing to do for you and how far they're willing to support you, and then you want to stretch that. You want to stretch that in an area that helps you both grow. Where there's no stretch, there's no growth. That's another thing we should put down, right, Jasmine? Like, you know, you got to stretch continuously if you want to grow. You got to continue to push the envelope, not so far that you break the relationship, but enough that you test it, enough that you continue to you know, pressure it to move forward, ever forward. And if you can do that, then you know, TrueVOICE is a tremendous tool that'll help you do it fast, help you get to those relationships really, really quickly. If anybody want to talk to me, anybody wants to share anything, information with me, my stuff is scrolling past the screen. I don't know what happened to my special guest. Gwen seems to have taken a break and is not coming back anytime soon. So I'm closing the show out, guys, because I'm gonna go catch out the restaurant. You guys don't have any questions, but if you do, you know, the chat box is gonna stay open. So feel free to, you know, put something in the chat. I'll catch it on the back end, and or some of our other guest audience members will. I thank you so very much for coming out today. As I said earlier, tomorrow's my birthday. I'll be 56. As some of my wife tells me, 56 years old. I'm like, man, I don't feel 56. I feel 80. But they say you're only as old as you feel, right? But it is going to be my birthday, so I'm very proud of that, and I'm glad to have those 56 years under my belt. I'm looking forward to 56 more. God bless you. Have a great day. The show is closing out at 3:52. We're doing pretty good. Have a great day, guys.